Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And if you haven't already, do please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us grow and spreads the message. Now, is free speech dead? Well, it certainly seems like it might be. If you're a Christian and you start quoting the Bible or praying out loud or even crossing yourself, you're going to jail. And this isn't in some third world or Middle Eastern country. We're talking about Great Britain. Would they be so quick to throw Muslims in jail for quoting the Quran or Jews for the Torah? I suspect not, because one thing is sure, and that is that the authorities are actually quite spineless. They are cowardly and they wouldn't dare. Only Christians, that's who they attack, because they know they're quite safe with that. So why? Why is there a line drawn? Should a line be drawn? Should a line be ignored? Let's look at this article and see what's going on. So here we are, Christians who audibly pray, recite scripture, or cross themselves in a pro-choice clinic zone face prison. I have to be careful what I say. YouTube doesn't like the A word on this one. So Christians who are caught praying, reciting scripture, or crossing themselves near a centre could be sentenced to up to 6 months in jail in the United Kingdom. British officials are pushing to have Christians who practice their faith too close to these centres jailed under revamped crackdown rules aimed at curbing protests against the practice. Now, whether you believe in it or not, and I will quite handily put my hand up and say my position here, I'm not scared to do so. I am pro-choice, but it's got to be a rare event. It's not a matter of, rare and fair, I think is the term. If it's needed, and the circumstances are right, absolutely. Don't use it as a form of contraception, but, sometimes it has to be done. And certainly sometimes for medical reasons it has to be done. So yes, definitely pro-choice. That's my view. That's who it is. I'm not scared to express my view. But some people aren't, and that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, under current legislation, it can already be an offence to audibly pray within so-called safe zones established around these centres, with those running afoul of the rules liable for a fine of up to £1,000. Now, are you telling me that the authorities are going to be prepared to fine someone for praying? Now think about what they're actually saying here. We're going to fine you or possibly put you in prison for following your religion. Now, I'm not religious, but I'm not going to stop anyone else from practicing their religion. I am also pro-free speech. You have the right to believe in what you have, and you have the right to express those beliefs. Now, you may not abuse people, you may not insult people, you may not call people names or detrimentally insult them, but you have the right to your opinion and you have the right to express your religion. That has got to be a fundamental right. And you cannot have a zone where you say, yes, your rights are basic human fundamental rights, except over here, because otherwise you're saying, actually, we're limiting your human rights. And it is a basic tenet of the Human Rights Act is there is no limit on your human rights. So this ruling is not only immoral and unethical, I'm pretty sure it's illegal, because you're saying that there are certain areas where your human rights don't apply. What government is going to sit there and say that human rights, certainly certain times and certain places, your human rights no longer exist? Seriously? But that's what they're saying. Now they're saying as well, it's Christians. But I guarantee if there was a Muslim woman or man or woman there and they were quoting the Quran, the police would certainly not be going up and arresting them, because the police, as we know, are, well, A, they're useless, and B, they're corrupt. But they're also craven cowards as well. But I bet you any money you like they'd arrest a Christian for doing it. It's just, well, first of all, you could argue that it's bigoted. It would be against the the Equality Act 2010 if you're only arresting one group of religionists but not the other group of religionists, simply based on what their religion is. So whoever did it would be in breach of the 2010 Equality Act. Never mind breaching the Human Rights Act. Anyway, those who recite scripture, genuflect, sprinkle holy water on the ground, or cross themselves if they perceive a service user is passing, is also liable for fines under the existing regime, with one safe zone administered by Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council, for example. However, according to a report by The Telegraph, government bigwigs are looking to greatly expand the severity of the penalties for those who fall foul of their rules, with new plans aimed at cracking down on such protests, including provisions for jail offenders for up to 6 months, should they be perceived as protesting within a buffer zone. The right to protest is a part of free speech. Is the government saying you cannot have free speech? This is a fundamental right. I agree with the right for the women who are going to these clinics to go to those clinics and to do the things that they feel they need to do. That is a right that they should have. And the people who are protesting it may protest against the practice. They may not protest against the people doing it. That would be a personal attack. That's quite wrong. But they can protest against what they believe to be an immoral practice, and it is their right to protest. For a government to say you may not protest, you may not have free speech, you may not exercise your right to your religious view, is completely wrong. And especially as they wouldn't do it for any other religion. It's only Christians. How does a government justify this? While the Home Secretary is reportedly yet to comment on the proposed measure, which comes as part of an amendment to the Trust Government's Public Order Bill, well, that's bound to fail because she's Lino Liz, isn't she? Leader in name only. The crackdown rules have received support from a number of Conservative Party MPs, including former Cabinet Minister Andrew Mitchell and former Home Office Minister Caroline Noakes. Left-wing Labour MPs have also voiced support for the crackdown, with one party official describing the move as being needed to protect a woman's right to doing this thing. No one is stopping the women from doing it. If someone wants to sit and protest it, that's an entirely different matter. These things are not linked. You cannot say that one person protesting against the practice is affecting another person's right to practice it. Because they are protesting against the law that says it's there, and they are using the law. And until that law has been changed, both parties have the right to do what they're doing. You cannot have free speech, but only for one side. And if you can't get that, then you understand that there is no such thing as free speech otherwise. Anyway, while establishment politicians in Britain are voicing concerns for women's access to this within the United Kingdom, recent statistics appear to indicate that many within the country are having no difficulty disposing of unborn kids in increasing numbers. Quite the contrary, in fact, with official statistics revealing that England and Wales saw 214,000 A's take place in 2021 alone, the highest number to take place since records began, beating a previous record of 209,000 which was set in 2020. And a lot of this will be COVID. According to the experts in this industry, record-breaking years for terminations could be put down to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as Britain's regime of on and off lockdowns, and also the fact that people going in right now, this moment in time, with the economic situation being as bad as it is, are definitely thinking, oh my God, I can't afford kids. This is a thing. Nevertheless, even these numbers do not appear to be enough for many in the industry, with doctors declaring in August that they want to see up until birth decriminalised across the country. Now here I do draw a line. I say unless it is a medical necessity, there should be no... I think the current in Britain is 28 weeks, and I think that's an absolutely fine cut-off. You can go later, but only in extreme medical need, which is, of course, fine. One cannot force these things. You have to make a choice. It's an incredibly difficult time. Let's not be, trying to simplify this. Any doctor who's even given advice Never mind the mother who has to make the decision. It's incredibly difficult once you get, to that kind of stage. But sometimes it's medically necessary, so we don't get into that argument. I think 28 weeks is quite fine. You should know by 28 weeks what your situation is. Go then. But that's what it is. But you should still have the right to do it. But these people must have the right to express opinion. They must not have their voice taken away. There cannot be zones where you have or lose your human rights. You cannot have zones where you have and do not have free speech. And there cannot be zones where you can and cannot practice your religion. That's barbarism, that is fascism, and that is a state in which we do not want to live. It really is. So this is wrong. And I'm just going to come up and finish there. But it's a very difficult subject, I know. But we'll round off anyway. Now, whatever side you take on the A issue, or whether you are religious, what religion you are, or whether you're not religious at all, it is clear that free speech must be maintained. You must have the right to express yourself, whether you believe in a religion, a series of religions, or no religion. You must have the right to express it. You must also have the right to express any thought or any opinion, even ones that other people find disagreeable or even offensive. It's not illegal to be offensive. You do not attack the women, but you can attack the principle of what the women are doing. That is fine. And any modern society must have protections in place to ensure that these rights and freedoms are universal and cannot be stopped at the whim of a government minister. Free speech today. How about what religion you can practice tomorrow? How about what way you vote the day after? It's a slippery slope. And we've seen it before many times. It's how dictatorships start. And it needs to stop. And I'll stop there myself. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, say and think what you like, and goodbye.